Hello everybody, this is Moose101, and today I'll be giving you guys my Masked Hero / Zero Hero deck profile. I call it a Zero Hero deck profile because, unlike a standard Masked Hero deck, it is not so much focused on Dark Law and is much more focused on Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. So without further ado, I'll get right into the deck. So to start off, I run 3 Elemental Hero Bubbleman. If he's the only card in your hand, you can special summon him, and then if he's the only monster you control, or only card you control, you can draw 2. The draw 2 is very difficult to resolve, but sometimes the special summon effect can be useful just to put an extra monster on board, maybe make a rank 4 play. But for the most part, Bubbleman is just really helpful as being a water monster and a hero monster, so it can be used as either materials for Ab-Zero. So that's why I like it 3. I also have 2 Elemental Hero Ocean. During your standby phase, if he's on the field, you can return 1 hero monster that you control or that's in your graveyard to your hand. For the most part, again, he's just used as both a water monster and hero monster, but he can sometimes be useful for that add back effect. If maybe you summon him instead of mass change and your opponent doesn't force you to use the mass change during their turn, then you'll just get the free plus off of Ocean, so that's good. I also run 2 Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. If he's special summoned, you can add 1 change quick play spell card from deck to your hand, and then if he's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 hero monster from deck to your hand. So he's just useful for kind of searching out your stuff and gluing the deck together a little bit. You don't necessarily want to see him in your hand, but it's not a horrible draw. But for the most part, you need to run 2 just because there are other cards that will sometimes want to use Shadow Mist from the deck, and so 1 just doesn't cut it. But I only run the 2 just because, as I said, it's not really that focused on summoning Dark Law, and while I do run Dark Law, it's not a very standard play for me to make, so I don't think 3 is necessary, but at the same time, as I say, it's not a horrible draw, so if you want to run 3, I wouldn't criticize you for that. I also run 2 Elemental Hero Blazeman. Blazeman, when he's normal summoned, you can add a Polymerization from deck to your hand, and then once per turn you can send a hero monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then if you do, his attack and attribute and stuff become, well, not stuff, because his name stays Blazeman, but his attribute and attack become the same as that sent monsters. You can only use 1 effect per turn only once that turn. That's the same as with Shadow Mist. You can't use both of Shadow Mist search effects, and you can't use both of Blazeman's effects. But Blazeman can send a Shadow Mist off of his effect, which will allow for a search of a hero monster, so he can actually search Polymerization or a hero, basically. He's really great for searching your deck. You don't necessarily want to open with more than 1, and all the heroes in the deck are very, very searchable, so it's not necessary to run more than 2. I also run 2 Summoner Monk. He is semi-limited, so you can't run more than 2. His effect is that once per turn you can discard 1 spell card, and then if you do special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your deck, like Shadow Mist, to get a search. He's also changed defense possession if he's summoned, so that can be useful. He's good at 2 in my opinion. I also run 3 Nimble Sunfish. If it's destroyed by battle, you can send a fish from deck to the graveyard, then special summon a Nimble Sunfish from your deck. It can sometimes be useful just to fill your field with water monsters, which will buff up Ab-Zero, but mostly it's just used as a water monster for fodder. But it's also used a lot in conjunction with Nimble Angler, because if Nimble Angler is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, then you can special summon 2 level 3 lower Nimble monsters from your deck. So you can actually go for a double Sunfish, and then enjoy the benefits of a 3500 attack Ab-Zero. It's just a really interesting card. If your opponent does happen to destroy a Sunfish by battle, you can also send the Angler to special summon the second Sunfish, so you can end your turn with 2 Sunfish on your board, which will make an easy Sky Cavalry sometimes. So I think they're pretty good. For spell cards, I run 3 Polymerization. It's your standard fusion spell, and it's how you make Absolute Zero usually. I don't feel a lot HPZ about it. I also run 2 Miracle Fusion. It allows you to fusion summon a hero fusion monster by banishing monsters from your side of the field to the graveyard. So it's a nice way to make an Ab-Zero, or sometimes your ridiculous late game boss monster, the contrast hero, but it does have little cost, but you don't necessarily want to see it in your opening hand, and especially not in multiples, so that's why I only run 2. I also run 3 Mass Change. You send a hero monster you control, face up hero monster you control, to the graveyard, and then you special summon a Master Hero from your deck with the same attribute. It's your standard path to Dark Law, and can also be used with most of your low-level hero monsters for a little play if you can't make an Ab-Zero play. And I also run 3 Form Change. It returns a face-up fusion hero monster you control with the extra deck, and special summons a Master Hero with the same level, but it doesn't have to have the same attribute from your extra deck. So Form Change is more useful to use on an Ab-Zero than Mass Change is, because you have more options, but Mass Change allows you to use itself on non-fusion hero monsters, so that's kind of the trade-off between the 2. They're both somewhat searchable, and you want to see really at least 1 in your hand pretty much always, so I think it's good to run both at 3. I also run 3 Salvage. You target 2 water monsters, 1500 or less attacking graveyard and add back to your hand. The deck runs quite a few, like, just low attack water monsters, so it's an easy +1 oftentimes. And it can also be used just to pitch for Summoner Monk if worst comes to worst. And I also run 3 Emergency Call and 3 Rhoda. It's your way to search all of your hero monsters, and it makes the deck very consistent because you can basically, especially if you search your heroes, you can also search other cards, such as like Blazeman, because you can run 3 Polymerization and 2 Blazeman, but you can also run 6 cards to find that Blazeman, so it makes the deck very, very consistent. And I just run a few traps, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Vanities, 1 Compulse, and 1 Solemn, just that if your opponent boards or tries to board a monster that could easily deal with an Ab-Zero, and you don't really want to use your Mass Change or Form Change yet, this is a way to force your opponent to either kill something else or just let you get some damage in for free. So that's it for the main deck. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck, I start with 3 Elemental Hero Episode 0. It requires a hero monster and a water monster, and its effect is that if it leaves the field, it destroys every monster opponent controls. It also gains 500 attack for every water monster control besides itself. So this card can get really crazy huge if you have like 2 Nimble Sunfish on the field, because it's 3,500 and it can get even bigger than that. If you say, especially on a Bubbleman, that goes to 4,000, it's really, really crazy, and the ability to just wipe your opponent's board the second it leaves makes it really difficult for your opponent to really feel anything to do anything against it, just because if they try to cast out or whatever, then you'll just blow that away, and so they're forced to kind of go neg to remove it. It gets even harder when you add the fact that you could actually match change it away into something else at any point during their opponent's turn, and it just becomes an absolute nightmare. I also run 1 Contrast Hero Chaos. It requires 2 Master Hero monsters, so you're really only making this off of a Miracle Fusion late into the game. I'm probably going to drop this for like an Escuridao or Nova Master as soon as I'm able to trade for one of those. But it can negate pretty much any card once per turn during the player's turn, and it has 3,000 attack, so I do really like it, but it's very impractical to summon, so that's why I'm going to drop that as soon as I can trade for something else. For the Master Heroes then, I run 1 Vapor. It's the level 6 water, and it can't destroy by card effects. It also has 2,400 attack. Sometimes if you say make, they have 0 and your opponent goes, oh, Raigeki, and you want to just have something on board, then you can just go into Vapor and make sure he doesn't die to that Raigeki. 1 Dark Law, he's in the Dark one. He banishes any card sent to your opponent's graveyard, and if your opponent adds a card from the deck to the hand, once per turn, you can banish a card from their hand. So he's just 2 really nasty floodgates rolled up into 1. He's quite good to make, usually, if you can protect him especially. 2 Master Hero Acid. When it's summoned, it blows up every spell and trap your opponent controls, and then cause their monsters to lose attack for each one he blows up. But really that doesn't matter, because for the most part, you'll be making him off Mass Changing or Form Changing an Ab-Zero into him, which is a complete board wipe on your opponent's, everything during either player's turn, which is really, really powerful. And oftentimes you'll just kind of win a game if you can get your opponent to commit, 3 or 4 cards to the board on turn 1 and then just blow them all away. So he's quite good. I also run 1 Anki. He can be Mass Changed and Form Changed, and if he destroys a monster by battle, you can add a Mass Change or Form Change to protect your hand, and he can attack directly, but for half damage. He's also just pretty big at 2,800 attack, so I like him. 1 Dian. He sits at a pretty solid 3k defense, but also very solid 2,800 attack, and if he destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon a Elemental Hero monster from your deck. So he probably has the best effect of all of the different destruction by battle Master Heroes. There are 3 of them. They're level 8. Dian, Anki, and then Divine Wind. His effect's probably the best just because if you special off a Shadow Mist and then search a Mass Change, you pretty much just get a free Dark Claw for not a whole lot, as well as 3,400 damage. You can attack directly with both the Shadow Mist and then immediately Mass Change into the Dark Claw. So he's really quite good if you can ever resolve his effect. 1 Divine Wind. He can't be destroyed by battle, so sometimes he's good to stall with, and your opponent can only attack with 1 monster per turn. But he also has the added benefit that if he destroys a monster by battle, you can draw a card. So he's quite excellent. And then I also run 1 Koga. He gains 500 attack for every monster opponent controls, so he's pretty much at least 3k if he's battling. And he can also banish a monster, a hero monster, from your graveyard to make monster opponent controls lose attack equal to it. So he can just get really, really big and get over some really, really big things. And then moving on to the Xyz monsters, we're 1 Sky Cavalry. It can't be destroyed by battle, it has Xyz materials, and at the end of the damage step, if it attacked or it was attacked, you can pitch material from it and then return the monster battle back to the hand. It's, in my opinion, best rank 2, and it's good removable you can make with the Nimble monster that you run. 1 101, it's just removable, and being a water monster, it can sometimes also use its material into Ab-Zero. And then 1 Excalibur, it requires warriors, so that will be stuff like Bubbleman and a Shadow Mist or something along those lines. But it can become 4k attack, which allows you to push for OTK sometimes. So that's why I run it. So that's for the deck. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, see ya!